and welcome to Cardiff Met Sports Radio. We have a jam-packed show in store for you today, but first, it's 4 o'clock and it's time for the news with Evan Bales.
Good afternoon and welcome to Cardiff Met Sports News. Starting off with the top story coming in within the last hour, Tom Pearson, a former Cardiff Met student, has retained his place in the England squad for the first time as Eddie Jones selected his 36-man squad ahead of the up-and-coming autumn series. Also, a well done to Abby White on becoming junior biathlete world champion. She has worked with Cardiff Met Athletics, who will be very pleased with her performance. Next, there is a double header in the rugby on Wednesday, as both men's and women's are up against Hartbury. The men's won both fixtures last year, and the women's will be battling for a win as Hartbury did the double on them. The Cardiff Met women's team won 5-3 on penalties in the Cup this weekend against local rival Swansea. They also face each other in the Adran Premier League this Sunday. And today sees the start of the month, but also the start of November, which is an annual event raising awareness of men's health issues. Us at Cardiff Met are looking to help and get involved.
Very much, Evan. And as Evan was saying there, the motivation for November is raising funds and awareness for all dads, brothers and sons, as well as mates in our lives. Movember, as a charity, are asking for your help to promote all men's health, whether that's through prostate and testicular cancer awareness or mental well-being and suicide prevention. Everything is important. We caught up with Bucks Super Rugby commentator Ethan Walsh to get his views on the campaign and charity.
Yeah, I'm taking part in Movember this year just to raise awareness, really. You know, it's all about men's health and specifically prostate cancer, testicular cancer, suicide prevention, you know, and I just think it creates a great platform for, you know, guys to speak about those problems, you know, raise awareness. Sometimes in this generation, men aren't always able to speak about those problems. So, you know, any way we can promote that, you know, I'm more than willing to take part. So, yeah, it's great cause.
Brilliant words there by Ethan. And make sure you're checking out the Sports Broadcast Masters Movember page. And not forgetting, Movember is a time to get quirky, a little bit creative and certainly corny. Talking about corn, we caught up with Bucks captain and starting defender of Cardiff Met Women's, Grace Corn. So I'm here with Bucks captain and starting women's centre-back, Grace Corn. Firstly, Grace, great win on the weekend. How was that game for you?
Yeah, massive for us. Swansea, you know what it's like, big game for us every season, you know. They're biggest rivals, but got the win, so I couldn't be happy with that. It's always been a rivalry. They've always been a top club, and so have we, so it's always been one of them where everyone expects it to be a good game, and it usually is. It's often been quite close. They've had the beating of us recently, so to get the win on the weekend was big for us. But yeah, the rivalry's there, I can tell you that. Sunday was feisty.
Feisty? Well, a lot of challenges going in.
Yeah. Unnecessary ones as well.
And how big a win is that going into this week's game in the league back here at King Croyd's campus?
Yeah, massive. I mean, a win for anyone gives everyone a confidence boost, you know. But yeah, it's massive for us, and hopefully now we've got in their heads a little bit as well. So bring them, you know, the league's something that we obviously want to win as well. So yeah, big game on Sunday.
And then finally, what would you rather have won? The game last week or the game on Sunday?
Want to win them both. It was big for us because obviously the cup, you want to win every cup, but the league is your main focus, and hopefully if we get 3 points on Sunday, it sets us up there to finish strong for the rest of it. So yeah.
Brilliantly well said there by Grace. And now last week at the Bucks game, we had two people on ground level. Some people call them Adam and Eve. I call them Adam and Evan. So, Evan, you were there last week. What were the general vibes around the ground?
Yeah, overall, around the club, feeling positive. I mean, it's been a good start in the Bucks and the Adran League. The Bucks, they won against Bath 3-2, and then obviously the win in the Cup against Swansea this weekend. It's very positive, and you can see that Stacey is doing a lot with the team moving forward this season.
So, Adam, do you think that win really spurred them on to eventually beat Swansea up on penalties on Sunday?
Yeah, it showed that they had the fight within them to come back. I mean, both games they had in the last couple of weeks, they had setbacks, they were down a couple goals, but they've had the impetus to come back and put good performances in. I mean, just look at Ellie Priest. She's literally had 5 goals in 6 games, and she's carrying on that on Sunday games, on Wednesday games. I'm sure she makes a big impact in the squad.
Now, Swansea is a huge game, and the rivalry has been built up over years and years and years. But talking with some of the coaches, the general feeling is the media have bigged up this rivalry because they've been such mainstays in Welsh women's football. Do you think that's true?
See, I don't see it as much of a bigger rivalry as the Cardiff Met versus Cardiff City sort of situation. Yes, Swansea did win the league last year. However, I think there, as you said, there's just been a lot of talk in the media which has swung it one way, not the other.
But do you think that that rivalry hasn't been built up between City and Met because City haven't been performing as well until this year?
I'd say so, but I mean, looking at the season now, Cardiff Met are 2 points ahead of Swansea at this current moment in time, and obviously if they beat them, they'll go to 5 points ahead. And then they've got the game against Cardiff City next week, which is a 6-pointer really for the season. If they can come out with 6 points there, that'll be crucial into potentially the title ending up at Kincroy campus.
Like you're saying, it's such a huge game this week, and whoever wins this will usually go on to win the league. How big a factor will momentum play in this game?
Yeah, I mean, building up their momentum. Obviously, they suffered a loss against Bristol UE the other week. But their games against Portsmouth, Bath, and obviously Swansea the other day were just building them up. And I'm sure it will work in the future for them.
Brilliant stuff. Well, from one huge clash to another, we see Cardiff Met take on Hartpury in Gloucester in a double header at Kingsholm Stadium. One person who is grinning from ear to ear as we talk about this now is our rugby correspondent, James Robert. James, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Kim. Thank you for highlighting my enthusiasm as well for this fixture, because I am absolutely buzzing for it. I hope you are as well. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, do you know what? This talk about Swansea has got me riled up, and this really is the creme de la creme, the icing on the cake. What can we expect from this double header?
You're going to be expecting a very physical encounter for Cardiff Met in this Buck Super Rugby clash. It's certainly a fixture that they're going to want to win, because if Cardiff Met can win this fixture, they suddenly find themselves right back up in the top section of the table, you know, fighting in those top 3 positions, which, when you look at how the season has started, is quite unlikely that we thought that was going to happen. Those opening 3 games, yes, they won on the road in the first game against Swansea. That was fantastic. What a great way to start the year. But then losing 2 on the bounce to Cardiff and Exeter, that wasn't great. That was not in Danny Milton's script. That was not part of the plan. So to then build on that with a victory against Nottingham most recently, 39-3, but then also taking on varsity rivals Bath and winning on the road, what a great way to reinvigorate the squad and restart the season almost in a way and get back to winning ways, because that's exactly what Cardiff Met needed to do.
Definitely, and I mean, if we're talking about mixed starts, you have to have a look at Hartpury. I mean, they were able to beat title holders Exeter and top of the league Cardiff, and then they're losing other games around the league. What are you expecting from them?
I think I'm expecting a mixed performance. You can't really tell exactly what Hartpury are going to turn up. You know, obviously losing to Durham and Bath, again, that wasn't part of their script. That's not part of their plan. They find themselves down the bottom end of the table. That's not where we expect Hartpury to be. They're one of the biggest names in university rugby in the UK and indeed in Europe. They're known internationally for creating high-quality players. Like, they just keep churning it out in a similar fashion, you should say, to Cardiff Met, who Eddie Jones has said is basically the breeding ground for future England internationals, which is fantastic to see and fantastic for the league to get recognised in that way. But Hartpury definitely need to pull something out of the bag in order to beat this Met side, because they've certainly got the win behind them going into this fixture.
So, saying that, we're only just over a quarter into the season now. How big can this fixture be to deciding like the future league standings?
It's going to be massive. It's going to be massive. Obviously, last season, they beat Hartpury both away and at home here on King Coyd. That was fantastic, because that's exactly what Cardiff Met needs to do against sides like Hartpury if they want to keep finishing in that top 4 section of the table. With Danny Milton at the helm, they've never finished lower than 4th. It's fantastic to see. It's great to see, because it means that first playoff round is always going to be at home. But what Danny Milton would love even more is to finish a little bit higher up that table and ensure that the semi-final is also at home. Travelling away to Exeter last season and losing on the road just before the Buck Super Rugby final, that's got to hurt. That was a lot of pain, and they won't want to repeat of that again. But if they want to have that home tie in the semi-finals, they need to finish higher up the table. So beating teams like Hartpury is crucial for securing that.
Well, another team with high aspirations is obviously the other half of the doubleheader. It's the Cardiff Met women's team, and if you're looking at the tables, it's more or less mirror images where the two sides on the Super Buck side and the Women's National League side. Cardiff currently sitting second with Hartpury sitting 4th. What are you expecting from this game?
Well, it's going to be a very, very close encounter, I must say. So Cardiff Met and Hartpury, obviously last season, Hartpury did the double over Cardiff Met. It's disappointing to see. However, Cardiff Met started a really strong Women's National League season last year, and they've had a really strong start to the year this year. 2 wins from 2. That's great. That's exactly what EC Control and her side will have been working towards all of pre-season. Going forwards into this fixture, the last time they played Hartpury, though, it was the final pre-season game just before the Women's National League kicked off, and they lost. But they had a very strong second half compared to the Hartpury squad, and it meant that, yes, Hartpury left with the win. However, it showed that when people start to puff, when Hartpury are low on energy, Cardiff Met can really exploit those gaps in defence. And with people like Emily Griffiths playing at fullback in this fixture, she's definitely a running fullback. She's not going to look to give the ball straight back to Hartpury from a kick. She's going to look to run through that defence, find the holes, and get across that try line. Same with Sarah Singleton as well. She's now going to be starting in the scrum half position, and we know that she loves to snipe around the base of the ruck. She did it so well in the pre-season fixture against Hartpury. That's how she was able to make so many metres going up that pitch, getting Met on the front foot and closer to the try line to score.
Now, James, you were at that pre-season game. Who impressed you from Hartpury?
Impressing from Hartpury? Well, Mo Hunt highlighted her in pre-season as one to watch, and it's Steph Else. The number 8 has been monumental for this Hartpury side going into the season ahead. You know, she's been starting in every game. She was instrumental in the victory, the very close victory, I should say, against Edinburgh not too long ago now in the last fixture that they played. And winning on the road like that, you've got to travel miles to get to Edinburgh. It's a really, really long, hard away day. And they're no easy team to play against. Edinburgh are a hard-working side, and they're determined to stay in this National League, and they're determined to be at the top of it as well. They don't want to lose out to teams like Hartpury. So for them to come away from Scotland with a win, that's a fantastic result and a testament to the quality of Steph Else and the rest of the Hartpury side, who also had 9 of them feature at the weekend with Mo Hunt in the Gloucester Hartpury fixture in the Allianz Premier 15s. It was fantastic to see. It's great to have that showcase for university rugby, and you can show people the quality of players really coming through this system.
The thing is now, Hartpury are seen as a mainstay in university rugby across it, but now it's also in the women's game, and that is definitely a testament to how big the league's getting. This game is being recorded alongside the men's. They're showing the same platform as the men's. How big is the league getting now, and how much does that benefit the women's game?
It's getting the respect it finally deserves. You know, we've seen it this season. 9 Cardiff Met Archers alumni went to the Women's Rugby World Cup to represent Wales. That's amazing. 9 of them have basically helped Wales get through that really tough, arguably very tough group through to the quarterfinals, and they really did put up a fight against New Zealand. The scoreline might not reflect an even match, but there was no one who didn't leave like a bone out on that pitch. You know, they put their bodies on the line here, kid. They were determined to come away with something from that fixture, and they did. They got over, they scored a try. It was fantastic, and it was celebrated like a win. And then of course, you've got Tatiana Hurd, who is also another Cardiff Met alumni, playing for England, tearing it up in the centres. She's helped them get all the way through to the semi-finals now, and that is going to be a very interesting game to watch. They're playing Canada. It's basically a repeat of the 2014 World Cup final in the women's game. So it's going to be a very interesting fixture to watch. And I think she could be a key figure as an Archer alumni going into that match. But it just shows that we really need to respect this league more, and we need to make sure it gets the same representation as the men's side of things in Buck Super Rugby. And we should stream more of their games and do more of these amazing double headers together where possible.
What else can we do in order to bring up the women's game? I mean, there's already some things being done. What more can we do?
Well, it doesn't just end at the full-time whistle here, Kian. You know, it's all about getting bums on seats, yes, and people actually watching the matches. But it's about people talking about the games once they're over. It's about people tweeting and posting on social media about them. It's about getting highlights out there for everyone to watch at home. You know, it's about talking to it in the pub with your friends. You know, we're not just interested in the fact that Aaron Wainwright, and Luke Northmore and Alex Dombrand and all these amazing players that come through the Buck Super Rugby side of things. Let's talk about the players that have come through the Women's National League. You know, Larry Norcutt has had a fantastic career, and it was really stunted with personal loss in her family as well. Her sister also used to play at Cardiff Met, and she's gone on to represent Wales, and it's fantastic that those stories need to be told more. We need to celebrate the women's games more. I think that's where the support can really come in, and we can grow the game.
Certainly, and it definitely starts now. James, I just want to get a quick score prediction for both games.
Oh, I'm not sure about scores. I'll tell you how much one side's going to lose by. I think Cardiff Met are going to win the men's game, but it's going to be just by about 3 points. And I think, I'm going to go with a Cardiff Met win again for the women's game, and again by really close, maybe 1 point winning margin.
Brilliant stuff, James. Now, if you want to get yourself up to Hartpury, the women's game kicks off at 4:30 and the men's game kicks off at 6:30. It is coming up to 4:15 now, and it is time to have the World Sports News with Adam Light.
Thank you, and good afternoon. Papua New Guinea beat Wales 36-0, sending the Welsh side crashing out of the Rugby League World Cup. And EFL clubs warn government of knockout blow without reforms. But first, the FAW considers Cymru name change. Noel Mooney, the FAW chief exec, held informal discussions with European football's ruling body, UEFA. He went on to say the team should always be called Cymru. That's what we call it here. This follows countries such as Azerbaijan and Turkey, who have changed their names using their own language. On to football and the EFL, where some EFL clubs have warned government of a knockout blow without reforms. Representatives of 29 clubs have written to the government urging it to press on with plans for an independent football regulator. The letter warned that clubs could be wiped off the map if there is any further delay in action. And over in the Rugby League World Cup, Wales' chances were few and far between in the first half. Papua New Guinea turned the screw after the break, adding further tries through player of the match put. Papua New Guinea can now look forward to a semi-final against England on Saturday on Guy Fawkes Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adam. And now we will be delving into the infamous name change that is dividing a lot of opinion amongst the Welsh public, with the FAW wanting a name change on the international stage. Now, changes within club and country aren't uncommon. There's been changes in names, badges, and kit colour from across the scene. I mean, you look down the road and Cardiff City infamously changed their kit from blue to red. Exeter Chiefs had to change their logo based on cultural appropriation and offensive undertones. Even on the national stage, Turkey have changed their national team name from Turkey to Turkiya. Well, as Wales look to embark on their first World Cup since 1958, they believe that after this tournament, they may look to change their name in 2023. We spoke with Alex Lang, the Cardiff Metropolitan goalkeeper and Swansea Academy coach, to see his thoughts on the potential name change.
Yeah, so I think Wales changing their team name to Cymru is a brilliant thing. For me personally, growing up, when you got introduced to Wales and the Welsh language throughout school and primary school, unless it was directly involved in my life, it wasn't really something I could associate with as much, and especially due to the recent surge of the Wales national team and how they're doing globally, especially qualifying for the World Cup. I think it's a great thing for the Welsh language to promote the Welsh way and the Welsh culture globally and on that global stage through football. I think it's definitely something that the FAW buy into and Wales as a whole. So I think it's a brilliant thing.
Now, this is a very important conversation to be had, and we have two people that are extremely passionate about it. We have James Roberts, our sport/rugby/Welsh correspondent, talking about why this name change is good. And we have Adam, who is talking about why this name change maybe isn't needed.
Well, I'll let the person who's wrong go first, to be perfectly honest, and then I can come in and basically tell you why it should be changed to Team Cymru.
Well,
I'm not going to lie.
Personally, I have nothing against Wales. I mean, unfortunately, they probably will always be in the shadow of England. However, changing their name will impact on that and maybe give them more of an identity and maybe put their name further on the international stage. But you don't actually see many teams do this on the international stage. For example, like take Spain, obviously in their native tongue, it would be Espan, but they don't seem to call themselves that. And I think it will help them provide a more upbeat thing, especially after the World Cup. If it goes well, give them a lot of notoriety, and it would be good. However, looking at what the FAW came out and said, they were saying a lot about how they always sit with, because W in the alphabet, of course. They sit next to like the Ukraines of the world, and obviously they said they had a good relationship between them two. But I think it might be more of a vanity project because he came out and said that they'd more like to sit next to maybe some of the bigger countries like Croatians or the Czech Republic. I think that's definitely a good point to bring up.
I mean, Adam, it's interesting you come into this argument basically contradicting your news report by saying, there's not many countries actually doing this, when we've named like 3 or 4 countries in this report so far that have decided to do the same and sort of like honour their home language, honour their heritage when they go on to represent their country on the international footballing stage. And so I think it doesn't detract from their on-field performance at all. They've just qualified for their first World Cup since 1958. This is coming off the back of 2 successive appearances at the Euros, successful appearances at the Euros. They're a team that people like to talk about. They're a team that go around and actually cause a lot of trouble for these bigger sides. I'm using air quotation marks, but can't actually see me at home because it's radio. But this is why it's important. It shows that when going onto the international stage, people can represent the culture of Wales better when performing out in front of the millions that are watching. I mean, and you look into the stadiums these days, and more people are singing songs in Welsh when the team are playing. I'm going to completely butcher the pronunciation now, but Amar O'Heed is literally going to be their World Cup anthem. It's a Welsh song. People are going to be singing in Wales. Why can't it be Team Cymru? Why can't people at home cheer for Team Cymru when the national anthem is sung in Welsh, when they sing the songs around the stadium in Welsh, when they cheer behind the teams and they watch all the reports that go on social media in Welsh? What's wrong with that?
James.
I mean, the Welsh government as well, they've been trying to align it more to a Cymru base for a number of years now. And so it just means that sport is recognising this and actually saying, yeah, let's be proud of the fact that we are Wales and we have our own language and we have this history. Why not honour that on a bigger stage? Why not? Because it's brilliant and it's perfect and it's a beautiful language and it's one of the best anthems in the world, and that's why we should definitely honour it more.
James, I feel like I should give you a round of applause for that.
I think I should get a round of applause, to be honest with you.
Playing
Kean.
devil's advocate, Wales have just made it their first World Cup final in God knows how long. Should they not be focusing more on what they're doing on the pitch rather than off the pitch?
Well, that's why this is going to happen after the World Cup, Kean. In that report, you didn't say, they're going to change it right now before the World Cup. They're going to go and perform at the World Cup.
But still, the conversation's starting now, isn't it?
It's interesting that Adam actually said as well that they're forever living in the shadow of England. But actually, England haven't played Wales at the World Cup yet. And going off of the fact that England pretty much lost every game leading up to this World Cup, I'd say it's actually Wales who've kind of got a little bit of swagger about them going into this tournament.
James, can
they're
you
feeling a
remind
little
me
bit
last time
confident,
that England played Wales in a major tournament? Can you remind me who won?
Yeah, but how many of that England side are still playing for England in that starting
How
11?
many of that
would you
Welsh
still
side
pick?
are still in that starting 11?
It's a very
lot of that
interesting
Welsh
matchup
side are
going
still in the
forwards.
starting 11, though.
I thought we were talking about their name. I thought we were talking about.
But we've
why it's
moved
so
on to
great.
conversation, haven't we? And then we started talking about the pitch and the World Cup. And at the end of the day, it is very good. And I can understand it's bringing the Welsh heritage. It's going in line with what the government have said, wanting 1 million Welsh speakers by 2050. Do you think in some ways that it might be dividing the majority of Wales who aren't Welsh speakers by changing their name to Welsh?
Obviously, that is an issue that people will want to, tackle and sort of appreciate, and people who want to change it to Team Cymru will have to consider going forwards. But Welsh is still taught in schools up and down the country, and they don't want this language to die. The influence that football has, not in just this nation, this small patriotic nation, but the world, is so influential and so powerful that surely this can be the catalyst then to encourage more people to learn Welsh, to keep that language alive, because the last thing that we want is for that language to die, because then what anthem are they going to sing? What songs are they going to sing? This is great for Welsh football, great for Welsh sports. I think more sports should follow the same in the Welsh region.
Thank you very much, James. Thank you very much, Adam. Gloves were definitely off in that conversation, and I mean, we all just need a little bit of time to calm down. But there are no ad breaks, so we cannot do that. Well, from one Cymru team to another, Wales are embarking on their Autumn Nations campaign this weekend. And in the spirit of this, we've got a little game of higher and lower. And now we will be taking the World Rugby Rankings, giving our panel here 2 nations, and they have to guess whether the teams are higher or lower. We will speed through this because we are a little bit pushed for time. But firstly, Peru or Denmark? Who is higher in the world rankings? We'll be going around the table from my left to my right. So firstly, Adam.
I'm going to go for Peru higher.
Lovely stuff, James.
I'm going to go Denmark. I think Denmark could be higher.
Denmark, Ev.
Denmark.
Denmark, okay. I can say that Peru are the highest ranked team. So at the moment it is 1-0, Adam.
I'd just like to point out actually that Adam can see your screen, so I feel
Adam,
a little bit unjustified
that is why I have turned the screen. I have turned the screen now.
I didn't look, just to...
We can see that James is still a little bit rolled up. But then we have Sri Lanka or Uganda.
Uganda.
I'm going to go with Sri Lanka.
What was that now?
Uganda.
Uganda. It is Uganda. So our rugby correspondent is currently down by 2. So that does show the staff that we employ here at Cardiff Met Radio. And now we have Tonga and Spain.
Tonga.
Tonga.
Spain.
Spain. Ev, we need a new role for you. You have got this right again. James, if you don't get this one right, you might have to leave. So we have the Monaco or the Cayman Islands.
I'm going to go for Cayman Islands.
Cayman Islands.
Morocco.
Finally, he's got one. James, you have smashed it. Evan, somehow you have said a country that wasn't mentioned, Monaco, but that might
Is it
be
Morocco?
Monaco. That might have been my fault as a presenter. So I apologise for that. And then finally, we have Wales's last game of the autumn internationals, Australia, who is higher.
Australia.
It's Australia.
Australia.
And it is a clean sweep. And James has certainly regained some faith.
I heard it was
him.
last goal wins, actually, Kian.
It was last goal wins.
Thank
It was
you.
double points.
There we go.
And so, James, just on that point, Wales's autumn international campaign, they are kicking it off against New Zealand. What are we thinking?
It's going to be an interesting autumn series for Wales and Wayne Pivac's side, that's for sure. I mean, starting off with New Zealand, then they face Argentina, Georgia, and they finish off with Australia, obviously, as you've just mentioned, ranked higher than them in the world rankings.
At the moment.
At the moment, yeah, it could all change.
Do you think it will change with this upcoming autumn internationals?
I think with the autumn international, we're going to see a big shake-up in how the world rankings are formed at the moment. Obviously, Ireland's sitting on top of the world right now. Then, on top of the world, on top of everything. They're just brilliant at what they do on the rugby pitch. But that could all change, could completely change by the end of the autumn series. We could even see England suddenly jump up to first in the world. I just got shivers. But no, I mean, Vice-Captain Bowden Barrett has actually already spoken to BBC Sport. He's been quoted by saying about how he's expecting Gareth Anscombe to be the first choice starting fly half for Wales going into this autumn series when they face New Zealand this weekend. And he's excited at the prospect of coming up against a former teammate. Obviously, Anscombe used to play down in New Zealand with a lot of the boys that are now representing New Zealand on the international stage.
What's your thoughts on that? Anscombe in for Dan Biggar. Obviously, Dan Biggar was the captain in the summer.
It's disappointing to see Dan not involved, but obviously he can't help it. He's picked up an injury playing for Northampton Saints, and he is obviously Wales' first choice fly half if he wasn't injured. But looking into the future, I think Gareth Anscombe has come back from a lot of setbacks and adversity. Completely reconstructed one of his knees, for goodness sake. That's quite something to have to come back and have the determination to work your way back into an international side. It really shows the character behind the player and the sort of determined figure that can lead a back line and lead an attack, basically, charging forwards to hopefully score Wales some points in this autumn series. And I'm sure that Tipuric will join up alongside him as the named captain for the autumn series and spur the Welsh team on to do well. And it's interesting that he was named captain, considering he's only recently come back from injury and he's not had a heap of playing time. And I wonder whether that will affect the Welsh side in this series. But I don't think the focus is actually going to be on him, Cian. I think the focus is going to be on Lewis Rees-Zammit. He's been electrifying in this Gallagher Premiership season so far, and I wonder if he can light up the autumn series. I think he can. I think lots of defences will be struggling with him with his speed. We've seen him just walk through defences in the Gallagher Premiership so far. He's like a knife through butter, Cian.
Well, it's interesting you say that, but we saw him at the Six Nations. We're able to see maybe not the usual Rees-Zammit that we're used to. Obviously, he was there around the time Wales didn't have a great Six Nations. That lost to Italy, may I remind you. Who is coming into that Welsh side to change it all up? Maybe a new young face?
Yeah, it was a difficult Six Nations, and I think with that in mind, Australia and New Zealand are going to be difficult games, but Georgia and Argentina are must-win fixtures. If Wayne Pivac wants to keep his job along with his coaching lineup, and if all of those Welsh players that have been selected in this autumn series want to be there for the Six Nations, indeed the World Cup, it's in less than 12 months, Cian. We've not got much time. But I think the highlight in terms of a young player coming through, Tommy Raffel, he is phenomenal. He's a fantastic back rower, a brilliant open side flanker. He's had an amazing season last year and this year so far for Leicester. Great summer series in South Africa. He's one to watch, and I want to see him start every single game.
Two questions. Firstly, is Wayne Pivac the right man to lead Wales?
Oh, I can't answer that in 30 seconds, Cian. You really
I'm
put me
going
on
to
the
need an
spot
answer,
here.
yes or no.
I think currently, right now, he is the right man to lead Wales, but if he doesn't perform in this autumn nations, we will need a change-up before the World Cup.
And secondly, what is the score going to be against New Zealand?
It's going to be a close encounter. I think New Zealand will take the win, but narrowly. I'm going with 27-20.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, James. Well, thank you all for joining us today. We've covered the likes of the Autumn Internationals. We've covered the name change from Cymru to Wales. We've been able to delve into the double header that is taking place at Hartpury tomorrow, and we're also able to see how the women's team will be getting on against their huge game against Swansea on King Croyd's campus. Make sure you're getting yourself down to all the action around campus tomorrow, and keep an eye out for the Clash of the Courts on the 9th of November. We'll certainly be there. Make sure you are too. Thank you to all the team who joined us, Adam and Eve, James, Thank you to everyone who has been able to make this work. And thank you, the listeners, for listening. We'll see you later.